Hello, my name is Rose Riley, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Washtenaw County. Welcome to our online candidate forum for the August 6th primary election. The League is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that promotes voter education and participation. And we host candidate forums to help voters make informed choices. Now, let's hear from the candidates.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Schemke, and I will moderate the forum tonight. It's my honor to introduce the two candidates running in the Democratic primary for Scio Township Clerk, Jessica Flintoff and Terry Murty. And now we're ready for opening statements. Ms. Flintoff, we'll call on you first.
Thank you. I'm Jessica Flintoff, Scio Township Clerk, and I've been honored to serve you since 2019. My spouse Tara and I raised two school-age children here in Scio. We love the green space, good schools, being near grandparents. And I'm privileged to be the first openly gay person that you've elected to an office in Scio Township. I'm a lifelong Democrat, I'm progressive, pro-feminist, and anti-racist. The job of the Township Clerk is a demanding one, being at once the Township accountant, keeper of the records, elections administrator, and policymaker at the board table. Faithfully carrying out these complex duties with few staffs requires having relevant skills and knowledge, and I believe I've brought these to bear as Scio Township Clerk. I've been a lifelong public servant, having worked in local government for 25 years. I'm a graduate of Chelsea High School, Cornell University, and have my master's in public policy from UC Berkeley. And over the last 5 years, I believe I've demonstrated that I have the strength of character to stand steady and strong, to not be pushed around by those who would interfere in our elections or those who want to bring us backwards to the old guard way of doing things at Township Hall. Instead, I insist on proper processes, checks and balances. I believe if we implement these, that we can become a model township. Thank you for your consideration on August 6th.
Thank you. And now, Ms. Murty, may we have your opening statement?
Thank you. Hi, I'm Terry Murty. I'm running for Scio Township Clerk because I'm passionate about the community that has been so wonderful in terms of raising a family. I'm deeply concerned about the direction our township is heading. The current board's antics and lack of professionalism have left me saddened and frustrated. I know that we can do better, and that's why I've stepped up. Since 1990, the township has been my home, where my husband and I built our careers and raised 3 children, and became foster parents when our kids went off to college. What I see a pressing need for are leaders who are skilled in collaboration, communication, prioritization, and who understand who they work for, the residents of Scio. With over 30 years of experience in marketing leadership in the private sector, I bring a wealth of skills to the table. But more than skills, I bring a leadership style that sets me apart. I'm approachable, collaborative, and results-driven. I hope that you'll join me in the shared vision for a renewed township government that works for the people, by the people. And I look forward to your vote on August 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murty. Now, thank you, both candidates. And now to the questions. And we'll start with Ms. Murty for the first question. Realtor.com reports that the median home sale price in Scio Township now exceeds $500,000. What changes, if any, should be made to the township zoning ordinance to increase the supply of lower cost housing?
Yeah, great question. My husband is actually a real estate appraiser, so I'm fairly familiar with the market. I think that there are things that we can do in Scio Township to provide more affordable housing, and we've had several development opportunities to do just that. That would bring down the lower cost of housing in the township and support Michigan's initiative and Washtenaw County's initiative to provide more affordable housing. We need to think carefully about those developments and make sure we have the infrastructure to support them, whether they are single family housing or condos or townhouses. But I think we have to do our part. I think that we have to look at the master plan, understand the mix of commercial and residential as part of that plan, make sure we've got the infrastructure and the revenue to support that infrastructure. And then, yes, we should become an active participant in providing affordable housing and broader housing throughout Scio Township. We are also, my husband and I are homeowners, as well as we own some rental homes. So we are well aware that the markets are different in Superior Township, in Scio, in Ann Arbor. And we should close those gaps. We should close the gaps and make it more affordable for those who want to live and work in our community to do so. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, Ms. Murdy. Same question, Ms. Flintoff.
To promote more affordable housing, more attainable housing, I think the township can do a few things. A couple of steps we've already taken. In 2020, I, along with former trustee Green, led the implementation of the township's first pilot program in order to keep deeply subsidized apartment units available. It's a federal and state partnership, payment in lieu of taxes, whereby we reduce the tax that the housing provider pays in order to ensure that people on fixed incomes, very low incomes, Section 8 can remain in place. A second step I took was with the Goodrich Theater, PUD, simply coming in for redevelopment without any housing. We stopped it at the board table, went into negotiations with the developer, and I'm very proud that just this past year we were able to approve a PUD that incentivizes the development of workforce housing at 80 to 120% of AMI. That will be the first such housing in Scio Township if it's developed. In addition to encouraging more multifamily housing, we also need to encourage better jobs because, as in Scio and a lot of other places, there's a jobs housing divide where people are driving farther for higher paying jobs or living farther away. In Scio Township, there's only 530 people, according to the last census data, who live and work in Scio Township. And that's largely because we need to incentivize better paying jobs. That can be done at the Planning Commission and at the board table. For example, when hotels come in with very few low paying jobs, we were able to say no to that development. When a better paying industry, such as the quality assurance facility for medical marijuana came in, we said yes to that because of the good paying jobs. It's actions like that that I think the township can take to address this problem.
Thank you for your answer, Ms. Flintoff. The next question goes to Ms. Flintoff. What is the role of township clerk in improving voter access and turnout? What specific actions would you take to reach eligible voters in Scio Township?
I actually became interested in becoming the township clerk after working the November 2016 election and seeing the lag of voters coming out at the end of the day. The actions I've taken and would continue to take include the daily updating of the voter list, which we do. I'm very proud that we are regularly in touch with our voters and keep a very clean, good, engaged list of voters. We widely publicize all of the reforms voted in 2018 and 2020 through the two Promote the Vote initiatives, no reason absentee voting, same-day registration, and early voting. In addition, over the last 4 years, I have additional weekend hours, much beyond what's required by the state. Further, our team goes above and beyond. Truly, I think I'm very proud at the efforts we go to. We go to people in the jail, in hospitals, at home. I don't know how many hundreds of times I've showed up at somebody's house to get their signature cured if we aren't able to reach them via email or over the phone. So I've seen getting out the vote, those small one-by-one actions to ensure that we get every eligible voter a ballot every single time, make a real difference. And I'm very proud of the great team of election inspectors we have, particularly through the pandemic. That didn't stop Scio voters from coming out, and that's in large part due to the clerk's office's efforts.
Thank you for that answer, Ms. Flintoff. Same question, Ms. Murdy.
Yes, so absolutely updating the daily voting, the voting list daily is extremely important. Providing same-day registration But I think one of the most important things that we can do is to get communication out to voters about the various ways they have to vote. They have early voting, they have same-day voting, they have absentee voting. We need to reach those voters where they are, when it's convenient for them. I think that, last year, early voting was great. We had a good participation in Scio Township, but I think we can do much better to make it convenient for people. It's tough if you're working and you need to get there early in the morning or after hours. So having that early voting or having absentee voting available to anyone is really important. I think communication is key, not just having the office open, but reaching out to those voters who have recently moved in to the township, making sure that the rolls are updated, that they're registered. I think there are a lot of things that we can do to improve communication. And I'd say that's probably the number one.
Thank you for your answer, Ms. Moody.
Yeah.
Next question goes to Ms. Moody. The current township budget calls for more than $26 million in expenditures. What experience or education prepares you to oversee township finances of this magnitude?
Yes, sorry, get myself on mute here. So my experience in both small and large private organizations of managing marketing budgets, multi-million-dollar budgets, where I had to do something similar to fund accounting, but it was departmental accounting. So we were planning for expenses, we were tracking those expenses. In the case of business, we were tracking the return on investment of those costs. We were reporting them on a regular basis. So every month I was required to do detailed reporting on our plan, our spend, our planned spend, and our variance from the plan. So that was both at the departmental level, and then we were required to do quarterly reporting, which rolled up to in a very large organization like Thomson Reuters. So very important to track, to monitor, to use systems to do that work. I think today in the township, we're relying on outside services quite a bit for some of that reporting and that finance support. I think that we should look to try to bring that in-house. I've been part of audits where we've had to go back and look at historical spend or planned spend. I've been part of mergers and acquisitions where I've been part of a due diligence team where we've had to really outline plans, spend, expenses, and figure out how to integrate with another organization's budget or an organization that we were acquiring. So both the people, the process, the technology. So I have quite a bit of experience with financial management in terms of both large budgets, small budgets, and people management and the associated costs with people management.
Thank you, Marty. Same question, Ms. Flintoff.
Sure. For the past 25 years, I've worked with public budgeting, public accounting, public budgeting advocacy, federal grant writing, and also federal audits, as well as overseeing the team in the township working on the audit each year, as well as the monthly financial reports. In prior work for the city and county of San Francisco, I was personally responsible for $10 million of budgeting. Have worked on $28 million grants. And so when I came to Scio Township, it was a much smaller system, but exactly the same principles, fund accounting, same laws, same regulations. I would say a couple of things that we've done here is first and foremost, when I came into Scio Township, identified the need for additional qualified finance staff. And that is something that we have struggled to do. I'm very proud to have the endorsement of Ryan Yapel, who is the sole candidate for Township Treasurer. And we have a plan on day one to begin recruiting for a qualified finance director or CFO for the township. In the meantime, we are relying on contracted CPAs because before we started doing that, we didn't have a CPA. We didn't have sufficient staff overseeing and working on finances. And so the reporting is one thing, but if the books aren't kept up to date, the day-to-day stuff, the reportings aren't as meaningful. I've addressed several outstanding audit findings. One being implementation of the uniform chart of accounts so that we're using the normal accounts that all other local units use. That was required, overdue, we got it done. Second, identified the need to eliminate the unfunded liabilities of our retiree healthcare program. Was able to replace that through the board with another good program while eliminating that liability. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Flintoff. And the next question is for you. Excuse me. What do you understand to be the legal duties of a township clerk, and what are your qualifications to perform those duties? Sorry, that question is for you, Ms. Flintoff.
Oh, thank you.
Sure.
The legal duties of the township clerk are the most varied of any township official. It's the person who's responsible for keeping the accurate count, accurate record, and protecting those records. To administer elections under MCL 168 with all of the duties, reporting the returns at the end of the night. Having administered 8 elections, I'm proud to have the endorsement of County Clerk Larry Murdy, who's also a Scio voter. A second area is the accounting of the township. In smaller townships, the clerk does all the payroll and AP herself. In a larger township like Scio, the clerk is still responsible for making every single entry into the journals and ledgers, keeping those accounting records. It's critical that that be separate from the treasurer, who's the custodian of the funds. No business would have the same person or same arm of an organization having custody of the money and accounting for the money. The clerk is responsible for accounting the money with the support of the accounting staff. The clerk is also responsible for keeping and protecting public records and books. These are electronic these days, including the financial records. It's the clerk's duty, who's independent from the board, to keep them safe so that they're not manipulated, so that they're not changed, so that the public always has security, that the public record has integrity. Last, the duty is to be a member of the township board, to be a full voting member, just as a trustee is, the policy making and all of the duties of being 1/7 of the township board.
Thank you for your answer, Ms. Flintoff. And Ms. Murty, same question, please.
Yes. So running safe and secure elections are number one in terms of statutory responsibility, providing that detailed financial reporting and analysis, working side by side with the treasurer's office, and making sure we've got the right checks and balances, our general ledger is up to date, our reporting is up to date, and we're providing statewide data that's required. Keeping accurate records and being a voting member of the board, absolutely. Transitioning our records management to a new digital platform, I think, is a key responsibility of the clerk, not just maintaining their records, but making them accessible and getting them into a digital format is going to be really important for the public to access them. So we've got a lot of work there with the testing, the training, the heavy lifting around the implementation of a new technology. I have both led and been part of technology decisions for both departmental and company-wide implementations, including a content management system that I think is akin to the digitization of township records. My experience in marketing leadership in the private sector and the office of the clerk have similar skill sets. So attention to detail, organization, excellent communication skills, customer service focus, and technology proficiency. I've created and executed very detailed plans, including people resources, multi-million-dollar budgets, and the reporting that goes along with those, which is very similar to the clerk's office. Part of my responsibility focused on customer communications, so I am very familiar with using different channels to get communications out to residents. And I've worked with all levels in an organization where everyone is focused on a common objective, come together, deliberate, compromise, and make the best possible decisions for customers in my case, and now residents for Scio. I've been fortunate to spend time with Nancy Hedberg, a well-respected retired Scio clerk to gain a better understanding of the office of how the clerk's office has evolved. And I'm very happy to say my skills are transferable and needed.
Thank you for your answer, Ms. Murty. And the next question is for you, Ms. Murty. Do you believe Michigan's elections are fair and reliable, and were past election results accurate?
Absolutely. I am 100% confident that our elections are safe, secure, and the steps and the governance that's in place with transitioning data between local, county, state level is exactly where we need it to be. I think we need to ensure that all residents are aware of ways to vote, so we need to do a better job of communicating. I think we need to increase access to the ballot box by communicating and supporting the new voting procedures, clarity of precincts and polling locations, and offering better support for mail-in voting. As clerk, I will absolutely be focused on building trust in the office of the clerk, providing timely information to residents, and improving the way that we communicate. I'll work to ensure we have the right number of trained election workers to make for a positive and secure voting experience. I was an election inspector in the February election, which was a great experience for me. I got to see the setup process and work the day of voting. So in addition to that, I will work with the Washtenaw County Clerk and other municipal clerks to combat misinformation about elections and ensure that our elections are being carried out as efficiently and effectively as possible, and spreading the word and being an advocate for a fair, safe election. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, Ms. Murty. And same question, Ms. Flintoff.
So our election process in Michigan is one of the best in all of the United States. It's fair and reliable, and I do believe that prior election results are in fact accurate and correct. Over the last 5 years as clerk, I've administered elections through the pandemic, through the onslaught of disinformation, misinformation, and even within the office, with staff, with election inspectors, people may be interested in being election inspectors, voters. I've had probably 800 conversations explaining, here's the process that makes this secure, here's the redundancy. If somebody comes in and asks, are you sure my ballot's going to count? How do I know that it's going to count? How do I know where it is? I'll give people tours of how we do the processes in those 45 days leading up to every election. And generally, a conversation, building that trust and showing people the process builds their confidence in it. We also live stream the public accuracy test, which we do all the time. And when we had the opportunity I've administered 8 elections since being clerk. In one of them, the state has part of a regular auditing process where certain precincts are picked. So we were picked. We did the hand recount live. And so I'm committed to all of those processes to make it as transparent as possible. In order to improve security, because there are some real security concerns, we get regular trainings from CISA as well as through the state Secretary of State. We just did a wonderful tabletop exercise in partnership with our Sheriff's Department. We're putting plans in place to make sure that we're ready for 2024. We know that bad actors are out there, and we're going to be trained and prepared to keep our election equipment, our voters, and our election inspectors safe.
Thank you for your answer, Ms. Flintoff. This will be our last question. Ms. Flintoff, it goes to you first. The state of Michigan proposes to reissue a permit to allow Gelman Sciences to discharge treated groundwater. Do you support the state's proposal, and why or why not?
So I do support the state's proposal. And that's because I have had the opportunity to become very informed on the issue and how imperfect the cleanup of Gelman is. But these permits come up every so often. I want to credit Trustee Kathy Knoll for ensuring that we have a public hearing on it. and appreciate our card collaboration with the county and other community leaders. However, the cleanup with the 1,4-dioxane is constantly, continually recirculating in the environment. So I am hopeful that the Superfund will come through. As you know, the public comment period has closed for placement on the national priorities list. I'm hopeful the federal government will come in and be able to ensure a stronger cleanup. But until then, my understanding is we're working within the constraints that the state has placed on us. And the state and Gelman are cleaning up bit by bit. It's not as fast, it's not as complete as we all wish that it were.
Thank you for your answer, Ms. Flintoff. And same question, Ms. Murdy.
Yes, yes, I do support it based on the research that's been done and the testing that's been done. I do think the Gelman plume is a decades-old problem that continues to cast a shadow over our community and poses health issues for our residents. We can't stop trying to get the company responsible to solve the problems that they've created. The majority of our residents have wells, so groundwater safety is a concern for all of us, including me. We've been steadfast as a community in our efforts to get Gelman to take responsibility, but I know after decades of working with them that this needs to be elevated to a federal level so that it gets the attention and resources it needs. So I too support the Superfund status. Getting us elevated to that status will get us the resources, hopefully, and the funding that's needed to actually force the cleanup to happen. Until then, we have to continue with our independent well testing and need to continue to keep our residents up to date, as Kathy Knoll has done for many, many years. So definitely support the state's initiative.
Thank you for your answer, Ms. Murdy. Now it's time for closing statements, and we'll begin with Ms. Flintoff.
Well, have been privileged to be your township clerk for 5 years, and hope that I have earned your vote to be reelected on August 6th. I am committed to good governance, to professionalizing the township, and to always putting residents first. I believe that my track record shows that I've done a good job at being the township clerk. In elections, I've implemented statewide reforms in 2018 and 2022. We have higher voter turnout than we ever have before, despite a pandemic and incredible attacks on our democracy. We do 20-hour days, whatever it takes, and I'm committed to continuing that to ensure your right to vote. In the area of finance and good governance, when I walked into Scio Township, having had 20 years of experience in local government, I was shocked to see what I saw in terms of how the funds were managed and accounted for. There were poor practices in place in 20 years. Over the last 20 years, I was the first person to call them out. That's not a normal budget process. You should have 2 people, verifying certain accounts. Basic business processes weren't in place. I believe that we are on our way to correcting those. And if elected again in partnership with Treasurer Ryan Yapel, we will solve this problem once and for all so that you can have a township you're proud of.
Thank you, Ms. Flintoff. And Ms. Murdy, your closing statement, please.
Thank you. And thank you again for the opportunity. So there are 7 elected members of a township board. They are meant to work together, to listen to residents, to set policy, and discuss pressing issues in the community. However, for the last 4 years, the township has experienced significant turmoil at the board table. Since the last election in 2020, 3 members of the board have resigned and 1 lost their special election. The township's bond rating has decreased due to political discord. Elected leaders have wasted taxpayers' dollars on lawsuits. Financial management at the township has taken a backseat to personal agendas, resulting in challenging audits. I'm running for township clerk because I have the experience, dedication, and passion for service to help turn the page on this chapter of political fighting. It's time for new leadership at Scio Township Hall. I want to get back to the business of running our government with residents' concerns in mind, not personal agendas, and to restore the solid legacy of governance, transparency, and secure and efficient elections in the clerk's office. I'm proud to have the endorsement and support of retired clerk Nancy Hedberg, one of our longer-serving township clerks, who exemplifies these principles. And I am confident in my ability to transfer my skills in the business world to local government. And I'm excited to do that. So I'm hoping I'll get your vote on August the 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murdy. And thank you both for participating in this very valuable session.
The League thanks the candidates and volunteers who participated in today's forum and the community members who submitted questions. Please urge others to view our forums. Most importantly, please vote in the August 6th primary election, whether by absentee ballot or in person.